Let's bring in Louisiana Senator John Kennedy, who joins us from I think the Russell Rotunda. Senator, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys.
So why are you mean Republicans going to rain on the parade of the Democrats by not allowing them to pass the We the People Act, which they say is voter suppression, on the part of the Republicans?
Well, this is an extraordinarily cynical bill, in my opinion, even by Washington standards. It's very ruthless, even by Washington standards. Speaker Pelosi and Senator Schumer call it, I think, the For the People Act, but I think it'd be more aptly described as Screw the People Act. It will make it much easier to cheat in an election. And their bill does that in two ways. Number one, it almost guarantees that we'll never have another election day. We'll have election months. And I think that was the genesis of a lot of concern by many people in the last election. Number two, it achieves its purpose by taking elections, which are governed by the people through their state legislatures right now, and gives that authority to the federal government. Now, why anybody would take something that's working and give it to the federal government is beyond me. The federal bureaucracy can't even stop scam calls or spam calls. But nonetheless, if you turn our voting procedure over to the federal government, I guarantee the first thing they're going to do is get rid of voter ID. And I think most Americans believe that you should have to prove who you say you are when you go to vote.
So there's a new poll out, Mammoth poll. You've probably seen it. 80% of American voters, they support having to show an ID when you go to the polls. 18% oppose it. Is that why the Democrats are changing their tune? Stacey Abrams says she's open now to side with Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin wants you to have to show an ID. She's all along said no ID, Jim Crow 2.0, and now she's changing her tune. Is this why?
Well, yeah. Most Americans are not morons, and many of my Democratic friends think they are. They think they'll fall for anything. Most fair-minded people believe that when you go vote, you ought to have to prove you are who you say you are. And this suggestion that people don't have IDs or can't get an ID is just ludicrous. And after they meaning my Democratic friends, saw what the American people thought, they changed their position. Right. Simple as that.
Yeah. So, the Dems are now going to pour $20 million into a voting right initiative. So they're going to flood the zone, expecting to lose today, and just try to drill down everyone's throats that Republicans want to repress the vote and stop minorities from voting. Do you believe you guys have to organize and tell what you think is the truth about your reservations about what they're doing? Or are you concerned about being marginalized in that simplistic way, inaccurately?
No, I'm not worried about being marginalized. I think the American people are fair-minded and reasonable. They can look at this bill and see, for example, this bill, the Democrats would legalize ballot harvesting. That allows a paid political operative to go knock on your door and say, I've got a ballot here, let me help you fill it out, and I'll turn it in for you. What could possibly go wrong?
Right.
You know?
No kidding.
It ought to be illegal. It is illegal in most states. It's not illegal in California. And that's what my Democratic colleagues, not all of them, but many of them want to do. They want to make every state California, which does everything it can to elect Democrats.
Well, one thing that's happening in all the states, Senator, is there are a lot of employers who would like to hire people, but there's such a labor shortage. The White House says it has nothing to do with that supplemental $300 people across the country are getting per week through September. But there's a chicken finger joint located down in Texas, and they're having to pay it's called Lane's. The Roanoke location is now open. They've got and their chicken fingers look delicious. They're having to pay teenagers $50,000 a year, and they're training them as managers because they can't get anybody else to work for them because the kids are all, the good jobs are at Walmart and McDonald's, so they're going there. So if this guy wants to hire people, he's got to pay him $50,000 to be a manager. And you're 16 years old.
Well, let me be sure I understand, Steve. The White House is saying that the rich unemployment benefits have nothing to do with
nothing.
Well, that they must believe you can land on the sun if you go at night too. I mean, that's preposterous. I don't know anybody in America who believes that. I mean, people respond to incentives. And some people make a rational economic decision if you pay them more to stay home than to work. Not everybody, but many people are going to make a rational economic decision. I can't believe the White House said that.
Right. They got to follow the data, Senator. They got to follow that data. So that's
just like nature abhors a vacuum, nature abhors a moron, and that's a moronic statement. I mean, that's just not true.
Senator, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You bet.
Good luck in not voting for the For the People Act.
Okay, man.